In this video, you will get a complete Amazon listing optimization guide, which will help you to rank higher with the right keywords and also to boost your conversions with the images that sell. We will have two guests, Kamal from AMZ1 Agency and Amazon One Step Agency, and also Anthony from Data Dive Tool, and they will be presenting some great strategies for you. And before we go into the content, I wanted to mention that this session is sponsored by two companies. The first one is Getida. They are Amazon FBA auditing and reimbursements company in the market for already 9 years, I believe. And they help Amazon sellers to get money from Amazon, which Amazon owes to sellers. So they get for you money for free. I mean, they find free money and they get a small commission for that. And you can try them and their service with the link below in the description. The second company which is supporting the session is VAA Philippines. They help with the virtual assistants for e-commerce businesses, so they can provide professionals in any aspect and any part of your Amazon business, e-commerce business, even if you sell on Walmart or other platforms. So check them out. There is a link and offer below in the description. And I also wanted to mention that recently we hit 20,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel, and you can you should also subscribe if you haven't. So we want to reach 30,000 and 40,000 and so on. And finally, let's introduce our guests, Anthony and Kamal. Hi guys. So yes, let's get a short introduction from you both. So maybe Kamal, you start, and then Anthony, and then we'll get into the presentations. So Kamal, what do you do? How you help Amazon sellers?
Perfect. First of all, thank you so much, Augustus, for the invite. Super excited to be here on SellerFest once again, and excited to share the stage with you, Anthony. Super pumped. But yeah, so what we do is we help Amazon brands with their listing visuals like photography, videos, A+ content, 3D rendering. Basically, we make your listings look good. So yeah, super excited for the presentation today.
Amazing, thank you. And Anthony, Data Dive.
What's up, everyone? I'm Anthony COFRANCESCO with Data Dive. It's almost all-in-one solution for Amazon sellers, basically going to help you do all the work you need to do with optimization, but help you do it a lot faster and scaled across many brands across your whole portfolio. So excited to be on stage with you as well. And thanks for having us here at the event, Augustus.
Yeah, thank you. It's exciting. Links to AMZ One Step and Data Dive you will find below in the description. And now, Anthony, we're ready for your presentation. Anthony will be sharing some tips and strategies with you first, and then Kamal. And afterwards, we will follow with Q&A session. So keep your questions for the end. All right, Anthony, please share your screen and let's go.
All right, let's do it. So I'm going to try to keep this pretty straightforward and to the point, because I know we only got 15, 20 minutes to get through this. And then, yeah, we'll see what kind of questions we have in Q&A. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about what optimization looks like, kind of what I say the future of selling on Amazon is. I've been on the Orange Click channel many times and to some of the in-person events, kind of taken a backseat to events over the last year. So for those of you who don't know me, just very quick, I started my career working at Amazon. I built and scaled a creative agency called Virtuous Graphics, and we exited that in 2019. Then I worked with a company called PickFu for split testing, got to see a lot of images, helped during this big aggregator boom, grow that business, grow that brand. I got to work with a lot of sellers. And then now for the past 2.5 years, I've been with Data Dive, helping to grow that tool, getting, again, to see a lot of the bigger sellers, enterprise clients out there and see how the industry has evolved over the past few years. I think before we can start going into what optimization looks like right now, it's important to understand where this whole Amazon industry has gone over the past few years. And so I really break this down into 4 main stages. You had the Wild West, the early days aggregator boom, and the software boom. Wild West, for anyone who was around before 2016, it's a very different landscape from what we have today. It's pretty much the thought is just like get any product imaginable, get it up on Amazon. There's low competition. You're going to make a ton of money. From like 2016 to 2019, it's not about just getting a product up on Amazon. There's already dozens and dozens of other competitors doing the exact same thing as you. So here is where we really start to see like advanced strategies becoming essential. There's courses that teach people how to do Amazon, and really sellers that are executing on just the fundamentals are really standing out from the crowd. It's still very early in terms of where the industry is going. From 2020 to 2022, the competition level has already been high, but to make things even more competitive, you see this aggregator boom. So these large private equity companies raising millions, sometimes billions of dollars to pour into acquiring and optimizing these Amazon businesses. There's a big, huge boom during COVID, and then ultimately there's a bust. And what we learned from this aggregator boom is you can put as much money as you want into these brands, but if you're not seeing an ROI, it doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter if you have the smartest people in the world. You can still be out by people who understand the platform better and do this more efficiently. And so where I think we are now is this final phase of selling, in my opinion, that I call a software boom. And what we learned from all of these previous stages is that customers have a huge intent to buy products on Amazon. There's many competitors that are selling very similar options. And excuse me, the people who do best on Amazon are going to be the people who consistently drive metrics month after month and are able to rise to the top of rankings, but not doing this with making tons of revenue. How do we build a business that is able to look and feel like a multi-million or multi-billion-dollar brand, but do it with the smallest team possible, do it the leanest possible, and make as much profit as possible? And how people are doing that is the information is better than it's ever been. But then on top of that, there's tools that are really good that help automate the workflow. There's agencies that are more equipped and better skilled than ever, before previously. And so that's this final stage that we're in right now. And what these people are doing, these top sellers are doing, working with these teams, is they're trying to hack this. They're trying to hack Amazon's ranking algorithm and figure out how do you get your product into the highest organic rank for as many of the relevant keywords as possible. And we're going to go through some of that today. Like, how do you get more sales? How do you grow your brand? And it all comes down to this equation that's shown on the screen right here. Amazon's ranking algorithm is looking at 3 key metrics: your click-through rate, your conversion rate, and your revenue on a monthly basis. And they're using that to determine who has the best performance. And then on top of that, you're multiplying these 3 metrics by what we call relevancy. Essentially, think of it like, what does Amazon think that your product is? And are you delivering metrics for those related keywords? If the answer is yes, and you're outperforming the average of the niche, your ranks are going to go up. If you're underperforming relative to your other competitors, your ranks are going to go down. And so we're more equipped, we're better equipped to solve this equation than ever before. And today we're going to go through, I think, a few strategies that you can use to improve your metrics on these 4 categories. Before, what you have to think about is sellers would generally be good at like just a couple of categories, wouldn't really be good at everything. The average bar for a niche that you're selling in is a lot lower than it is today. You could dominate a category by just having a really good product or being really good at your images, your A+ content, your video, but not be so competitive on price, not be so competitive on PPC. Where we are today is that just to compete, just to be at the level of the other people in the niche, you really have to be proficient in all categories. So what I would recommend is after you watch this live stream and you watch the others in this conference, figure out what are the areas that you're not proficient in, and either figure out how to get good at them or hire professionals that you know are going to be able to execute on improving those metrics. So what I'm going to show you right now is a really quick workflow. This takes you about like 15 minutes once you've done this 5+ times. And this is what you're going to do to optimize this part of the equation, relevancy, right? How does Amazon know what your product is? And if Amazon doesn't know what your product is and you're not indexed well, or your rank is low for certain keywords, how do you improve that? And then I'm going to skip over anything related to click-through rate. I'm going to leave that over to Kamal. Anything related to conversion, I'm going to leave that over to Kamal. And then we'll wrap up with a little bit of with revenue. How do you increase your sales velocity? So what I'm going to show you really quick, this is super straightforward to do. If you're trying to do this manually without data dive, it'll probably take you a couple hours. But essentially what you're going to do is you're going to look at something that we call a master keyword list. You're going to try to find gaps in the listing. You're going to compare those gaps in the listing to the listing builder. You're going to optimize, rewrite the listing, upload it to Amazon, set up rank tracking, and then repeat over and over again. And that's going to help with your indexing for different keywords. So I'm going to go back to a couple slides, but let's just start here. This shows the workflow screenshot by screenshot. You can see videos on the Orange Click channel that explain how to do this. And you don't necessarily need to use data dive to go through this workflow. You can probably do this on your own. It's just a little simpler here inside of data dive. So here we're talking about what keywords are written into the listing. And what I'm showing you right now, if you haven't used data dive, is a master keyword list. And so this is for a niche of products, like 30 plus competitors that I pulled for kids binoculars. And what you'll see underneath each of the products is the organic rank for that keyword. So we can see that for a majority of these keywords, especially the relevant ones, the organic rank for this seller is really strong, right? We've got all these single digit numbers, a lot of 1s, 2s, and 3s. But then we see for this keyword, for example, binoculars for kids 8-12, we see that their organic rank is in position 40. So thinking back to that workflow that I just showed you a minute ago, this is identifying gaps in your master keyword list. A gap being a rank that is lower than you would expect, or let's say you're not even indexed for the keyword. And now you're looking at this and saying, how do I improve my rank for binoculars for kids age 8-12? So I'm checking for gaps in the MKL. Now I'm going to go over to the listing builder. I've already populated in this listing, Educational Insights is the brand. And what I do is I just drop it into the listing builder, and then I type in that keyword. I copy and paste it, binoculars for kids age 8-12. This is showing me my hits for this keyword in my title, bullets, and description. And I can see that, wow, I'm not indexed for that keyword. And I also haven't written this keyword into my title, bullets, or description. So I'm not sending the right signals to Amazon that, hey, I know you know that we're binoculars for kids. I know you know that we are kids binoculars, that we're toddlers, gifts, and toys, but we've never told them, you know, that we're for ages 3+, but they don't know that we're actually binoculars that are suitable for 8 to 12-year-olds as well. So I found the gap in my MKL. Now I found the gap as well in my listing builder. So if we have a gap, how do we fix it? Well, we just rewrite the listing to now include binoculars for kids ages 8 to 12. Now on my hit counter, it's going to show me that I move on my title from having no match. This green circle is showing me that I have an exact match. And then from there, all I would have to do is upload that listing to Amazon. And then here inside a data dive, this is our keyword rank tracker. It tracks your ranks every day for all of the keywords in your master keyword list. Then I'm going to add a little highlight here. So you basically just click this checkbox, a menu will come up. And you can see I added in the highlight, added binoculars for kids 8-12 exact match in title. And this is actually from a separate rank radar tracker. But you can see when I put a highlight, it draws a little box around this. I could go test this for a week or 2 weeks and see, does that rank go up from being in position 40 to now being in position 10, 15, maybe even a single digit number. You can see that there's some commonalities too. We have kids binoculars 8-12 years old. And what I'm guessing is you probably don't even need to add both of these keywords into your title. Just adding this into your title, I would expect that your rank would go up for both of these keywords. And so that's the process that you want to go through over time to improve your organic ranks. I think I have an example here. This is from a case study that we did a couple of months ago with another agency. Man, I'm totally blanking on the name here. It's going to come to me. Zonflip. Yeah, with Joey. Anyway, you can see there was this listing, average organic rank was 71. In less than 30 days, they move it up to 13. and there's a few keywords. 101 plus means they're not even indexed at all for that keyword. So rewrite this into your listing, add some PPC pressure, and you can go from there. Now, like I said, I'm going to skip past these sections on optimizing CTR and CVR. I'm going to leave that up to Kamal. So I'll be able to wrap up this next bit in just a second, but I want to go back here and show the algorithm, right? So if you think relevancy is what is written into your listing, how does Amazon use that to determine what you're trying to sell? That's what I just showed you, right? But once you, let's say that you go rewrite the children's 8-12 into your listing, right? You get your ranking juice and data dive super high. You have the most perfectly optimized listing, and you compare yourself to the competitors, and you have a better written listing. You have all of the keywords, all of the important keywords Amazon cares about are in your title, in an exact match, but your sales are still lower than all of the competitors. Well, remember, Amazon only looks at your listing to try to figure out what's inside of it, but then it's going to determine who deserves to be in those top spots by your performance on these metrics. So Amazon is saying for the kids binoculars 8-12, great, you rewrote that into your listing. Maybe your organic rank goes up a little bit, but how do you become the #1 seller for that keyword? Well, you have to deliver a strong click-through rate, a strong conversion rate, and strong revenue on a monthly basis. That is going to tell Amazon, all right, this person is outperforming the average CTR, CVR, and revenue of the niche. Their organic ranks deserve to go up. So like I said, I'm going to skip over CTR and CVR, but I do want to make a quick note on revenue. So got to keep clicking here. I'll be done in just a minute. So we'll skip all of these. Okay. So then for revenue, right? How do we increase revenue? How do we increase our sales velocity and send signals to Amazon that we want our ranks to go up for these keywords? You're going to notice that the first few steps of this are just checking, have I written my listing correctly? That's what I just showed you. Finding the gaps, filling the gaps, rewriting your listing, setting up rank tracking. Once you've checked that box, before you want to move on to optimizing PPC, you want to make sure your click-through rate is optimized. You've tested different types of main images. When people land on the listing, they get to your PDP, your product detail page. Now, okay, are we actually converting them? Are we getting sales from these customers? Once you've checked off these 3 boxes, then you can move on to optimize PPC performance. So I'm not going to get into this. There's many other people at this event that are going deep on PPC, but what I will give you is this really simple decision matrix. What you got to think about is as you're running PPC campaigns, ACOS, tacos, this is not what we care about. What we care about is organic keyword rank. Even if we have to spend more money at times than we're making, if our organic ranks are going up, that is going to be the most important factor of operating our PPC campaigns. So when we're looking at our campaigns, anything where your organic rank is going up, you're going to keep those campaigns on, even if they're not profitable. Of course, if they're break even, definitely for profitable. At some point, you're going to be spending on PPC, and then you're going to see that your keyword ranks are going to level off, and Amazon is going to say, okay, this is where this person deserves to be. If you're not profitable on these campaigns, you're going to turn these campaigns off. If you're break even, you'll keep them on. If you're profitable, you'll keep them on. And then anything that negatively impacts your keyword ranks, you're going to turn off. So I think that's where I'm going to wrap up for now. And let's see what we got on CTR and CVR.
Yeah, cool. Thank you very much, Anthony. And yeah, those who want to try Data Dive, you mentioned Data Dive, yeah, they will find the link in the description. And Kamal, yeah, let's go back to the stage. Thank you, Anthony. We will see you later during the Q&A. And Kamal, ready for your small bit? So please share the screen.
Okay, perfect. So Augustus, can you please confirm if you can see my screen?
Yeah, I can see perfectly. Yes, full screen.
Awesome. So let's get started, guys. So, really good information by Anthony, first of all. So there's only few, levers that you can pull in your Amazon business that will give you like exponential growth. One Anthony already talked about, like there's SEO and rankings that you can do. And the second one is the CTR. If you could get extra traffic to your listing, with the tiny bit of work, that's going to give you exponential growth. And the last one is the conversion rate. There are a bunch of other levers, which are probably difficult to pull. For example, the pricing of your product, like making sure your PPC is like really, really dialed in. But these three are the foundational levers that you can pull. And when I was preparing for this presentation, I was looking back, I think we have done so much content with Orange Klik, like diving deeper into the CTR, diving a lot deeper into the conversion rate and some of the basic stuff that I do expect and assume that the viewers that they do understand it. But I'm gonna cover the surface level. But if you have any questions, I will be very happy to take those questions in the Q&A. So let's get started. How to create great visuals that convert. And if you don't know me, my name is Kamal. I'm the founder and CEO of AMZ One Step. And what is covered in this presentation? So first thing, we're going to talk about a new way of designing your main image for better CTR. And the other thing is 5P framework that we are using in the listing images that can help you increase the conversion rate. The next part is the winning stack, image winning stack, that you can steal some of those images and install them in your image stack, which will help in the conversions. And the infographic formula, this framework is helping me out every single time whenever I'm thinking like, what is the copy that I should write on the infographic to get better conversions. Steal this from me. I think this is going to be super helpful. And lastly, premium A+ content hack. I know a lot of presenters, they have talked about this. I did present this at European Seller Conference, but this time it's a little bit different. We found out something really cool like 4 days ago. One of our school members community helped us with that. So I'm going to share that with you. So let's get started. So let's talk about the main image for better CTR. So why is main image so important? Because the main image helps you increase relevant traffic, okay, to your listing, and it also helps you decrease the irrelevant traffic, which ultimately means your conversion rate goes up, and as a result, you get better in ranking. So it's a loop. Many people think that the main image is only to help you get more traffic, but its secondary purpose is also that it can decrease the irrelevant traffic. Okay, sometimes we make it too exciting, like too clickbaity, and when people land on your listing, they don't buy it and your conversion rate goes down. I have seen it over and over again. So when you're designing your main image, it's very important that you're also trying to remove the irrelevant traffic, which is going to harm your conversion rate. Okay, that is the importance. And what is the goal? So the main image goal is to break the pattern in the search results so that the visitors, the more visitors click on your listing as opposed to your competitors. Okay, which ultimately means you're going to have a better click-through rate. So what is the process? How do you make your main image look good? So main image optimization is a ritual. It's not a one-time task. A lot of sellers, especially beginners, when they're launching the first product, they kind of set it and forget it. And that's not what we want with the main image. It's a ritual. So what is the process? So first, when you're launching a new listing, you create at least 2 main images, okay, with different concepts which are likely to break the pattern in the search results. That is the step number 1. And the step number 2 is to split test them. And you can do it like internally, or you can do it externally. Like internally is manage your experiments, and externally is using PickFu or IntelliV or any product opinion, like those software to get to find out which is the winner. And I really liked what Daniela just showed in the presentation before us. Like the internal split testing is for the validation, and the external one is for the iteration. So this was like super helpful. I really like that one. So you can steal that from her. So step number 1, create 2 main images. Step number 2, you split test them. Step 3, you upload the winner on your listing. And what you do is you create a new main image after that. And then you split test your winner from the first split test, which is already live on Amazon, and you split test that against the new image that you're creating. And you upload the winner once again, and you repeat this process every single quarter. And a lot of you might be thinking, Kamal, isn't changing the main image every quarter too risky? But trust me, if you're doing it right, you don't need to change it. Let's say if you're split testing every quarter, and 2 or 3 times your existing main image, which is already live, is going to win. So that does not mean you're changing your main image every single quarter. So this is the process. That's why I say it's a ritual, not a task. All right. So um, let's dive deeper into the main image strategies. I have a video on Orange Click channel. I highly recommend that you watch this video once you're done, because it's gonna talk in depth about what kind of different main images that you can use to make your click-through rate go up. And why do we focus so much on the main image when it comes to the click-through rate? There are like bunch of other factors that are still responsible for click-through rate. There's your product title, your main image, your reviews, your price point, like your fulfillment method, whether it's FBA or FPM, or it could be the Amazon badges, right? That like bestseller badge or Amazon choice badge. It could be your placement, right? Why do we focus so much on the main image only? The reason why, because most of those factors you don't control them. It's the Amazon or the market which controls them. For example, Amazon would give you the badges, customers give you the reviews, right? Your price is dictated by the market, and there's only very few things that you really control as a seller, and main image is one of them. So moving on, so there's like different strategies that I'm gonna like tell you on the surface level, but I highly recommend you go watch that video. One, you can show product in action, okay, which makes your product understand what exactly your product is. Second one, I really like this one. We call it label it strategy, which means you can add your unique selling proposition, or you can add your keyword on the product packaging or on the product label, so that it looks natural with the same branding, which can get you additional click-through rate. Next one is you can also use product packaging in your main image to stand out, right? So the whole purpose is to break the pattern. So you kind of pick one, which one you want to do. But I will share the new strategy which we are using in 2024, which is working really well. So, and you can also show multiple angles of the product. Okay, you can show close-up shots. You can look at the split test here. So you can also, if you do have product variations, this strategy works really, really well. I highly recommend you test it out once if you have multiple variations. That is one strategy. Then if your product does fall into one of those categories where 3D rendering is a great option, I highly recommend that you do a main image with 3D rendering. That is one strategy. You can add colors to your products. If your product is like a boring transparent product, you can add like colors with liquids that I'm going to show later in the slides. So these are like some strategies that I'm showing you on the surface level, but I again go watch that video for in-depth, like so many examples. So moving on, what is the best way to create the main image in 2024? Okay, and the best way is to use multiple layers of these strategies that I have talked about just in one photo. Okay, and how do we do that? Take a look at this example. So this is the layer number one, just a basic product picture. There's nothing fancy, totally Amazon compliant. So what do? You added a new strategy, which is the adding colors. So this product is like very blank, right? It's transparent, there's nothing going on. This does not look like it will stand out, right? From the search results. So you add colors. Okay, that is one layer. And the next layer is you're adding some more colors to it, so that it stands out a little bit more. And in the end, you use label it strategy to really show what exactly people are going to get. So it's like 4 layers of different images. Here's one more example. Product photo, high quality, there's nothing wrong with this picture, but this is not going to stand out from the search results. You add some color to it, you use the label it strategy, and if it does come in variations, you show the other variations in the background. That is one example. Okay, so this is how the process looks like. And you create one image, add a strategy, add another one, and just keep optimizing your main image. Okay, and I got a comment on LinkedIn. They're like, I posted on LinkedIn 2 days ago, like, hey, use this to get your click-through rate up. And I got some comments, and a lot of you were like afraid, Amazon is going to suppress my listing, right? Which is a genuine concern. But trust me, Amazon has different rule for different categories. Just because your listing is suppressed in one category does not mean it's going to be suppressed in the other category. So one of you asked me for a proof in the LinkedIn comments. I was like, there you go, it's live, we're running PPC on it, and the PPC is at the top spot, and it's just looking different, right? Made in USA. I agree that it's not fully Amazon compliant, but there are still ways. If you use the graphics on the product, not on the white space, your listing will go through that suppression test. Okay, so a lot of sellers are afraid of it. Push your limit. What's the worst thing that can happen? Your listing gets suppressed. You always have a backup, fully Amazon compliant main image that you can test. But do take the advantage. If others are doing it, why not, right? So this is the new way. To recap, you use multiple strategies in one image to make your main image stand out, and that's what is working in 2024. So that is one of the biggest levers in your Amazon game that you can pull, which is the CTR. Okay, so let's move on. Let's talk about the 5P framework that we are using, and this is mainly for the conversion rate optimization. And what is the 5P framework? It's the pain. Okay, so you gotta you know talk about like what is the pain that your product is solving, or there's a pain that exists in the product. So that's one thing. There's promise, proof, proposition, and plan or process. So your listing images must include at least 3 of these 5Ps, because if you use this framework and you create images using this, your listing will have very solid foundation. Okay, so what do I mean by that? For example, let's talk about the pain first. If you look at the review here, people are talking about battery life sucks, right? That is a pain point of the customers. So there's two types of pains that you can solve in this image. One is if your product is actually solving a pain, or if there's a pain in the negative reviews that you're saying that your product can solve, you create an image on that. Okay, so the battery life, you create an image which talks about the long battery life of your product. That is the 1P. Okay, and not every P would be would be usable in every product, so try to get 3 at least. And next one is proposition. Why would someone buy your product as opposed to your competitors? Or what is the unique selling point of your product, right? That is the proposition. One image should be dedicated to the proposition if you have one. Okay, and the next one is the proof. So if you could visibly show the proof in the listing images that your product works, that image is going to be super powerful. Okay, so that is the next P. And if you promise anything like any results, or you know or anything that you can do for the buyer, which will which promise them something, an outcome from a desired from their current situation to the desired situation. If you promise something in your listing images, that can also help you really well in conversions. And lastly, the last P is the process and the plan. Like, you can talk about the next steps after like steps that they need to take after the purchase, or the steps inside the process of manufacturing your product, or like how to use or how to assemble these kind of images, that they work really well in as a part of process or plan. So remember, so recap is use 3 Ps at least from this 5P framework. Your listing will have like such a really good foundational strength. Okay, moving on. A perfect image stack. So we talked about the main image. We talked about like the framework of like how you should be creating those images, And we also talked about, now we're going to talk about a perfect image stack. So it is not, you know, it is not like relatable to every single product. So pick and choose. If you think this image does not make sense for me, don't worry, use something else. Okay. So first one is the product in use. When somebody clicks on your listing, the next image should be, image number 2 should be product in use. We find it works so much well, because if somebody is clicking on your listing, and that's the next thing you want to show them, like what exactly that your product does, and try to show them in a quadrant style if possible, or at least like 2 to 3 different use cases, so that people can see, oh wow, that's the obvious next step they're going to see. And image number 3 is the package content. I see that missing so much time. We have worked with sellers, their listing looks great, but this image is missing. They're not even showing what the buyer is going to get when they open the box, right? Package content, you can never go wrong with this image. If you have multiple accessories and stuff in the product, you use that. So because if they clicked on your listing, they're already showing the interest that they are going to buy this product. So it's like a very warm audience that you have, which is very likely to be converted if you just show them what they're going to get. So that's the image number 3. Image number 4, key features. I see a lot of sellers, they split one feature in a different image. What's been working really well now is the bullet points, where you just show them like 3 to 4 features in just one image, which is working really, really well, because it gives you extra real estate to talk about something else about your product. And image number 5 is the key benefit that your product is going to give to the buyer. Okay, so it could be related to, you can use these to in the 5P framework that we talked about to create these images. And if you could show any comparison image, it could be before and after, or it could be you comparing with with one of your competitors, or it could be anything which sets your listing apart from the competitors. That is something that can work really well. Okay. And lastly, product dimensions. It does not work for like every single product, but for some products it's like so much critical. Okay, for example, if you're selling floating shell, right? You will not get a sale if you're not telling them like what the product dimensions are. As opposed to, there are some other products, iPhone 14 case, you don't need to tell them the dimensions, because that it fits on the iPhone 14. So this image could be absolutely critical if your product does fall into one of those categories. Okay, moving on, the infographic formula that I talked about. A lot of sellers, they struggle when writing the infographic, or agencies or freelancers, like what should be the infographic. So they go very vague. Okay, they how many times you have seen on Amazon super vague infographic, like made for you, or like perfect gift, something like that, right? It's like very vague infographic. So how do you make your infographic like super interesting and very powerful? So this is the framework that we use when writing an infographic. What is the feature? What, why, and how? What is the feature? Why is that important? And how is it done? So this is the question that you need to ask yourself when you're writing any infographic in your images. So how does that work? For example, if you're selling anti-slip bathroom mat, that is the feature. And why is that important? It protects you from slipping. And how? Maybe it is made from like a special material, or maybe it has like suction cups at the bottom, right? So you're combining 3 different things all into once, and then you write that infographic. So it will give you it's a really solid framework. So what is the benefit? What is the feature? Why is that important? And how is this done? So that's the framework that we use, and it's super helpful. This is one example of that. They're talking about the 3-chamber technology, fast dissolving. They're also telling the the basic feature, like the technology behind it and the benefit. Okay, so lastly, there's a premium A plus content hack. I know, you guys have been hearing a lot, like how to unlock your premium A plus content. So this is one of the sellers in our school community. He just shared a win, about 4 days ago, talking about how he was able to unlock premium A plus content only in 3 days. So if you look here, like he created, 5 duplicates of the existing A plus content, and they got approved in 3 days, and it also unlocked the premium A plus content, right? So Amazon's, a lot of the experts, they say that you need like at least 5 approvals, make some changes and you upload them, wait for the approval. It takes like 5 weeks, but no, actually you can get that done in like 3 days only, if you just duplicate your existing A plus content and get that approved. So that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, very happy to take those. So yeah, that's my share.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Kamal. And we will bring Anthony as well. We'll go to questions. And actually about unlocking that premium content. In the previous session, also Daniela mentioned this hack of just duplicating these applications with the same content like 5 times.
Nice.
Yeah, it's amazing. All right. Before we go to the questions, I wanted to mention that during Seller Fest Online, we are streaming about 20 sessions with different experts, but we also prepared a VAP package. You will find the link to VAP package below in the description. And the VAP package for $97, which we offer, contains about 40 additional videos from speakers of Seller Fest Online. And you will get all these videos were presented to us as additional content without publishing it on our YouTube channel. So it's additional information. Once you upgrade, you will get access to the members area where you can see all these videos, and then you go into the video and you can watch it. So please use the link below. I will put here the banner as well on the screen. And all right, now we can go to a few questions. I don't see many questions from the chat, but we have one question from Keith. How do we decide what type of pictures to use for our products or niches? Come on.
Okay, so it's kind of, you divide that into 2 different sections. One is the main image, like how do you create, how do you find what type of main image you need? You search for the main keyword on Amazon.com. You look at all those results, and then you see what your competitors are doing and what is something that you need to create which will break the pattern, right? That is one thing for you. That is one framework that will give you an idea of what kind of main image that you should be creating to get the click-through rate. And you can watch the video that I mentioned, like 14 different strategies, and combine them together and see what is something that you can create to create a main image that will stand out. That's one, right? And number 2, like how do you create what types of pictures you should be creating? Again, first and foremost, unique selling proposition that you need to cover, and what is the best way to cover it. There's one more video on Orange Click channel which will absolutely answer your question like in so much depth. It's called search for like visual references Amazon listing. So there's one way that any product, for example, if you're selling pizza, you're selling a delivery bag. Okay, so who is your ideal buyer, which is the DoorDash or Uber Eats drivers who are buying that product, right? So your feature is that it's extra large. So what is the best way to showcase that feature? It's extra large bag. So you have 2 different options. One is you can tell them like traditional way of like, hey, these are the dimensions, 24 inches tall, 36 inches wide, stuff like that. That is one way. Or the second framework is you can show the visual reference, like, for example, show 5 extra large pizzas inside the bag. Okay, like 3, maybe 2 liters, Coca-Cola bottles, like some wings, so that people can visualize like what exactly, how exactly it's going to help them. So that is one framework to find out like what kind of main images, what kind of image you should be creating. But again, like unique selling proposition, what's included in the product box, the benefits, key features, uh, that's something you need to share in your images. But how do you share, what is the way of like presenting that? I think that really comes with experience, or right, that just needs a little bit of creative thinking, which might be a little bit difficult to explain. But yeah, I hope that answers.
Cool. All right. We have question probably for Anthony. I would like to ask if we need to use the exact keywords for master keyword list. It's probably this is what that means, MLK, right? For backend search terms in the same exact format as they appear in MLK. MLK is probably master keyword list, right? We don't hear you. Okay, I unmuted. No.
Yep, sorry about that. So I don't think there would be much extra benefit in adding keywords into your backend search terms versus writing them into the listing. How inside a data dive, we have something called ranking juice. So it's basically a score that evaluates the ranking potential of different keywords in your listing. And how that formula for ranking juice is going to work is that your title is going to give you 3x ranking juice, your bullets is going to give you 2x, and your description is going to give you 1x ranking juice. So backend search terms for me are going to be more of keywords that I don't feel comfortable writing into the listing. So this could be like a misspelling of a keyword. I don't care how large the search volume is. I'm not going to write that into my title. Different translations of keywords, compatibility things, whatever it might be. That's what I would use backend search terms for. If the keyword is important, if it's a relevant keyword, and especially if my organic rank is low, I'm going to go straight for the title, putting that in an exact match. And then I'm going to prioritize the keywords and the roots with the largest search volume first, and then distribute across my title. Once that's full, then move down into bullets, move down into description, kind of prioritizing their way down.
Thank you. Another question from Madorete. Any advice on companies to help in creating photography of products on the package? I believe Kamal is involved only with the listing images, but not on photos on the package. It's probably the to put pictures on the packaging, I understand, like to photograph someone.
Oh yes. So yeah, what we do is, we're like a full-fledged creatives company. Like we do product photography, videos, and everything. So we work with a lot of sellers when they're designing their product packaging. Once they have like the sample ready, we can take the pictures with, we can do the photography with like model or whatever, and then we can design your product packaging afterwards, so that your lifestyle image is on the product packaging itself.
All right, cool. Thank you. And I would like to ask another question about user-generated images. So do you have any strategies for how we could use these user-generated images maybe on the product listing, or like,
yeah, maybe. Okay, so I can take that one. So user-generated images, I think it works really well on your social media if you have, so social, it can really build your brand on social media. But user-generated images in the I have not seen a huge success, with conversions, because you only have like very limited, real estate, like only 6 images and then a video. So our goal is always to, show those like key features, benefits, talk about the important stuff in the images. But I have seen really good results, like putting it in the, in the storefront or A+ content or brand story. Like that's where I think the user generated images could be really, really helpful. But yeah, I would love to hear Anthony's thought on what he thinks about this.
Do you have any ideas, Anthony, for user generated images using on product listings?
I mean, I would, if you can get user generated images, I think that's the barrier more people have, is just getting access to it. If you get access to it, then I would test it. I think Kamal was saying some really good off Amazon testing options, and just recreate the same image if you have user generated content. I think the barrier for more people is getting a lot of user generated content from people that are buying the product. So that can be like product inserts and asking people to tag you on social media. I've seen some people that have really expansive, like they're getting dozens and dozens of people sending them free UGC every month. I think if you can get to that point, then just start testing them in your images and see how they perform.
Yeah, great. Thank you. And there is a question about data dive. So for Sam, data dive is way too overwhelming. He has tried it. Can you recommend a data dive expert who can help validate and do other services? Do you have like additional consultation on your tools?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely takes a little bit of time to learn. You got to go through the YouTube videos. If you don't have the time to invest in learning it, I can vouch. I think Daniela Bolzman, she was referenced a few times just in this podcast. From what I understand, she spoke before us. So we did a case study with her a few months ago, and we have a few other on there, but Mindful Goods. The only people we do case studies with are people we know they use data dive every day in the business. They know their way around it. So reach out to Daniela. She can help you out with anything listing writing, and then also creative as well. And then there's a few other, but just check the YouTube channel on Data Dive. We have a series called Real World Case Studies in like any of those agencies, and we'll be having more and more come out. We got to do one with AMZ One Step at some point.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I was about to reach out to you.
All right. Keith is asking about split testing the images. What type of questions should we be asking to get optimal feedback?
I think Anthony has worked with PickFu. I think he's a great fit for answering this question.
Yeah, right. Anthony used to work for PickFu, which is doing split testing.
I think it's just really important with any of these tools that you understand these people on these outside polling services are not your shopper. They might be close to your shopper, they might be similar, but they're not the person actually spending the money to buy the product. So it's really important that when you're asking these questions, you're really trying to get to the why of how they're answering, why they're answering. So if you just say, like, let's say you're testing main images and you say, hey, I'm selling this garlic press. Does this main image, which one do you like better than the competitor? You might get an answer that is telling you that image A is the best, but I wouldn't spend so much time trying to figure out which one won, but try to figure out why it won. And so getting more specific with your questions, or say, hey, I'm trying to highlight that this thing, I wouldn't do this for a garlic press, but I'm trying to highlight that this is machine washable, that I can throw this thing in my dishwasher because everyone cares about cleaning it. Which one of these main images does the best job of explaining that this is dishwasher safe? And I'm asking them a more specific question like that. And then I'm trying to use that to figure out, okay, my goal is I want to have a main image that stands out, that it shows that this is dishwasher safe, or that the garlic press can handle multiple garlic cloves at the same time. And I want that to be the focal point. And so I'm not just asking, hey, which design is better, because that's very objective. Versus if I try to get more specific with the questions I'm asking, like which one of these infographics, and give them a few options, does a better job of explaining this feature of the product, or which one of these is more visually appealing for this feature. You're getting a lot more specific versus which one is best.
Great, thank you. And maybe this is for Kamal, the one about how do you ensure images are optimized for mobile and desktop viewing?
Okay, so if your image is, like 2000 by 2000 or like a square image, it should be optimized for cell phone and desktop both. For A+ content, you can always preview it before you upload and make some adjustments accordingly. So I think that's same thing for storefront. You can preview like the mobile version and also the desktop version. But for the images, they are, they're like view-wise, they're optimized. But what we like to do is make our text bigger so that it's readable, on the cell phone. That's the only thing that we've been that we have been doing, and which has been working really well. Don't make your text too small so that it's not readable. Keep your dimensions square. And for A+ content, always check the preview and see if something is not making sense. Go back and change so that it's fully optimized.
Okay, thank you. And Keith is asking about if someone does a good review video of their product on Amazon, can we use these clips for the listing?
I think so. I think you should be able to use, because it's on public platform. So you should be able to showcase as a review or testimonial. I don't see any issues with that. It's public. It's available publicly.
Hmm. All right, cool. Thank you very much. That's it. It was a great session. I wanted to mention one more time that both of these guys represent quite known companies in the industry. So Kamal, can you give us an overview of how AMZ One Step can help Amazon sellers?
Yeah, so go to our website, see which service you're interested in, product photography, videography, whatever you're looking for, or a full listing bundle. Just go to our website, amz1step.com, book a call. Would love to hear about your goals, pinpoints, see how we can help you out. So just go to amz1step.com, and we should be able to help you out.
And you will find the link below. And Anthony, the data dive, what kind of maybe sellers you recommend to look at, to what sellers you recommend data dive?
It's absolutely everyone, whether you're starting out or you've been selling for years. If you're validating ideas, it's going to help you, product ideas, it's going to help you determine how risky those are before launching. If a product passes validation, Data Dive is going to help you launch that product. And then once those brands are live on Amazon, Data Dive is going to help you optimize. So it's going to help you do everything you need to do in your workflow. That's what it says right there on the screen. It's going to help you do that faster, more profits faster, and there's some automation and AI that's built in, and it's just going to keep getting better.
Amazing. Thank you very much, guys, and talk to you soon.
Thanks so much, Augustus. See you later, Kamal. See you.
Bye.
Hey guys, thank you.
And now I would like to invite you to watch 2 more videos, where one video is by Anthony, where you will learn more how to use Data Dive for keyword research, and another video where Kamal mentioned about different image strategies. I think he's talking about 14 different images, so for your Amazon product listing. So check this out.